Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning to you all at home and abroad. It is a lovely Thursday morning.
April. Yes. Lovely Thursday morning indeed. The weather outside, is snowing.
It's frightful.
No, it's a bit, I don't know what the highway was like, but it's a bit chilly in Belize City this morning.
It's cold. I like this kind of weather. I get to put on some boots and some stockings, and I get to go out and I get
Are we nearing Christmas?
Always, every time this weather comes up, I feel like Christmas to come. But we have to get through October and you have to get through November. They had people with the memes already like, listen, we have cover November first before we get to December. But nevertheless, even though it's beautiful outside in Belize today, the folks in Florida are not seeing that type of weather.
Of course, April, we have friends, we have family
the diaspora.
We have relatives. Belizeans are all over the world, and Florida is no exception. And we saw yesterday where Hurricane Ian made landfall in Florida, with the west coast of Florida, as a category 4 hurricane.
Yes.
I mean, I was looking at some of the reports leading up to this this hurricane making landfall, and I said to myself, I cannot imagine the sort of devastation that it may cause, because it's one thing to hear that a hurricane is about to make landfall, and then it's another thing to actually see the aftermath, or in fact, while it is happening, the devastation that is occurring. I stayed on to the different media houses that were doing coverage of the weather, and I mean, it was to my amazement, to my shock, I could tell you that there was a lot of flooding. Initially where the hurricane made landfall, they reported up to 6 feet of flood waters initially, and I sat there and I was like, all right, 6 feet, let me try to put this into perspective. What does 6 feet look like? I am not 6 feet
I am 5'4".
You're 5'4".
That is
I'm
5'6". We done drown already.
So this water is above our heads. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the fact that many of these communities are on the coastline, and so many of them have bodies of water along. So it's on the coastline. So you have that ocean, that seawater, and then you have the river water as well,
and
that
of course,
affects all of this. But I mean, just devastating.
What we have to remember is that just like Belize, Florida's landmass is underwater. It's below sea level. So it's not a huge surprise that 6 feet of water is flooding water is rampaging through the state. But we also have to keep in mind that that is a category 4 hurricane. A category 1 hurricane does damage.
Well, right.
The massive destruction and the aftermath of this category 4 hurricane is, we have yet to see the results and the report of that. But 2 Cubans lost their lives through with
Cuba,
the catastrophe, and it wasn't a category 4 as yet.
Yeah, I think it was either a 2
or 3. And so just imagining that impact right now, and we don't have that much of connection with the other Caribbean islands and so forth. I don't know how it affected Cuba fully. I don't know how it affected the other keys and the other islands throughout the way, and so we just have to keep an eye out for those reports.
What became even more devastating about the hurricane over Florida, in fact, right now as we speak, there are parts of Florida that are still under a hurricane watch because this is a slow moving storm. I mean, yesterday they recorded that this storm is moving at somewhere around 3 to 4 miles per hour going northeast. So you could imagine this expanse of land from the west coast to the east coast, and this hurricane and this weather system taking its time, of course weakening as it moves
goes,
across, but at the same time still bringing that same amount of rain. And while it brings that rain, that flood waters it also brings that flood waters with it in the system. I'm saying all that to say that there may be a call for help, but we may need to take action when that time comes. We haven't even been privy to reports in terms of whether any lives have been lost. We know that there's a lot of property damage.
We can see that there is a lot of
so we see houses down, we see streets damaged, we see different properties lost, and the thing is that there will come a time when those as our neighbors, because they are technically, it's a 2 hours flight or less, an hour and a half, so they are technically our neighbors. They will call on us. They will call on the Caribbean brothers and sisters to give a helping hand. And that's when we will have to find it within our hearts to say, what can we provide? How can we help these people to rebuild?
And it just seems that Florida can't get a break because there is supposedly a tornado hovering over the south of this state, so Florida. So the natural disasters that are coming our way, you know, we had a pretty safe summer from June to about end of August, and this is the time when we're seeing that high activity of natural disasters, not just in the Caribbean and in North America, but throughout the world. So we just want to hope that there are not a lot of fatalities, and that the families are safe, and that whatever we can do to help, we will.
Certainly help. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Florida.
Yeah. But next on the news, just a little bit of positive light before we get into the eye-opener this morning. I really enjoyed your story with the neurologist.
Did you?
I did. I really liked that story.
These people, April, they are mad scientists. I could tell you that much.
No,
and I say, and you know, I don't use the term negatively.
I know.
I use the term very loosely. When I sat down with Dr. Cervantes, and he began to tell me all that this EEG machine does and all that it can help you with. And there is in fact a second machine that I'll write up a piece on it for tonight's newscast. But the EEG machine, when he tells me all that it did, and then of course I got a moment to experience a bit of how it works. I didn't go into the full thing. I told him I didn't want to turn Frankenstein, but it's quite groundbreaking, especially for us here in Belize. It's technology that has been in existence for a century. But here in Belize, it's a pretty new technology. But more pleasing, I guess is the right word, for me was my conversation with Dr. Phil Kennedy. Now, there's your mad scientist. Dr. Phil Kennedy, he did a surgery here in Belize, where he had Dr. Cervantes implant in his brains. This is a few decades, a couple years, about 20 years ago, implant in his brains electrodes, about 3 prongs of electrodes inside his brains, so that he could study speech and how the brain is connected to speech. And he almost lost his mind in the process. But the data that he collected is what is driving his research right now, and is what caused him to get funding for his research.
I was listening to this story, and you know, one of the things, I guess why I was so fascinated is because the brain is something that we haven't fully been able to comprehend.
Indeed.
As human beings, you know, like I was just telling Gavin the other day that we launched a rocket into an asteroid. But we still don't really know how the human brain functions. So certain anomalies we'll never be able to understand. But the fact that this can help with certain diseases like dementia and so forth, that I think is what is driving me to appreciate this kind of research. When he said to jumpstart the brain for for speech, the brain controls every single thing in your body, right? And my mind automatically went to Steve Hawking, the scientist that, he was completely paralyzed from the head all the way. He was a vegetable, but his brain was working.
Right.
And because his brain was working, he figured out a way to continue to advance his scientific theories and continue to experiment. And so that, I think, is the genius behind this story. I don't know, I was really, really fascinated. And just for the record, Frankenstein was just misunderstood.
Well, there you go, April. I don't expect you to say anything less about Frankenstein.
But I just wanted to end with that positive note, because I think that stories like these need to be told. We need to know that there is hope in this very strange world that we're living in. Speaking of hope, motivation, we have our eye-opener for this morning. And our eye-opener is taken from dailyup.com. And it goes like this. Life unfolds as it will, and the universe will wait patiently as we make our way into the unknown. Our lives are guided by natural rhythms that are particular to each of us and cannot be altered by force or will alone. Life itself is a journey made up of processes and events that manifest before us, only to be swept away when time marches on. Whether we envision ourselves creating a career, building a family, or developing the self, we instinctively know when the time has come for us to realize our dreams, because all that is involved comes together harmoniously. When the time is right, the passage of destiny cannot be blocked. Yet as desperate as we are to touch these beautiful futures we have imagined, we cannot grow if we are not fully present in the evolutionary experience. The present can be challenging, uncomfortable, and tedious, but life unfolds as it will, and the universe will wait patiently as we make our way into the unknown. Like many people, you have no doubt longed for the ability to fast forward through certain periods of your life. Yet haste is, by its very nature, vastly more stressful than serene fortitude. When you feel yourself growing impatient because the pace of your development is deceptively slow, remember everything that will occur in your life will occur in its own time. Quelling your urge to rush will enable you to witness yourself learning, changing, and becoming stronger. There is so much to see and do in between the events that we deem definitive. If you are patient enough to take pleasure in your life's unfolding, the journey from one pinnacle to the next will seem to take no time at all.
Man.
This reminds me of high school.
Yeah.
And I know that it sounds very, very cheesy, but isn't that what all teenagers feel? That awkward, weird state in your life when you just want to get to the end, be an independent adult, and not have to deal with, bullying, shame, depression, and all of these embarrassing moments that you just want to hide under a blanket and for it to all go away. But I think that regardless of how, I guess, devastating or embarrassing or just frustrating that time was, those experiences make you who you are today. Those experiences allow you to see the world in a different avenue. Those experiences allow you to appreciate human beings a little bit more, to be humble, to be ethical, to be ambitious. So as much as, because I know that was me, a time in my life where I just wanted it to just get to the end, those are the moments that make you who you are. So I like this.
This reminds me of present.
Yeah.
And me, and I know many adults go through the same thing, where you, like you say, you want to fast track life. A lot of times because maybe you don't like how the current situation is playing out, or you want to fast forward to something you're looking forward to. So whether it's perhaps a scholarship opportunity, whether it's a job promotion, whether it's a wedding or an engagement, there are things that you want to fast track to, because let me just get over this season of my life and I'll be happy when I get there. Like It's like, it reminds me of Mr. Miyagi teaching his
Karate
karate kid, right? How to do karate, and the kid who just wants to do karate.
You don't want?
He don't want to do this
Wipe.
and don't want to do that, but in the process, the teacher taught him that it is in these hard lessons, it is in these small lessons that you will actually learn and develop your character and get to where you want to get eventually.
I love that. You summed it up
Yeah.
perfectly, that character development. We don't
Yeah,
appreciate
character.
it in the
we
moment.
We don't appreciate it, of
you know
course
what I
not,
mean?
because it's crazy.
It's not just that it's crazy, but you find that you have a vision, you want it to go a certain direction, and all of these obstacles are getting in your way, or no matter what you do, you're not seeing that light right at the end of the tunnel. And so that, I think, that process, we don't appreciate it as much as we do, but we don't realize that once we get to the end, it's because we went through all of those processes. Yeah.
Regardless of how long it takes.
Right. So we are hoping to get the folks from the National Met Service of Belize to give us the process of the general weather forecast for this morning. And we have Catherine, good morning, on the line.
Good morning, my friend April and Paul. Good morning.
I don't hear your voice a long time. You got for vacation, Drew?
Yes. I took a few days off. I was on vacation.
Well, it's lovely to have you back, Catherine.
Myself, same here.
Give us the general situation for today.
Okay, April and Paul, as you could feel, the morning is quite cool because we have a light western northwesterly air flow prevailing, but as the day progresses, that cool air will turn into warmer temperatures, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next 24 hours, we could look for sunny skies with cloudy intervals, and high temperatures today will range from 90 along the coast to 93 inland and 84 over the mountains.
Wow.
Tonight, we expect partly cloudy skies. Low temperatures will drop to 76 along the coast, 70 inland, and 66 in the higher elevation. As for shower activity, you could expect a few showers, periods of rain or an isolated thunderstorms to develop mainly along southern coastal area, like what is happening right now. If you look on our radar, along the Independence, Monkey River, and Punta Gorda area, we're having some light rain in that area there, and we expect most of the activity to remain offshore this morning and become isolated by afternoon. And this is all these activity was associated with Hurricane Ian that was north of us over Florida. We get some of the outer feeder bands that cause these activity from yesterday, the thunderstorm, and so it's all some feeder band from Hurricane Ian. But as Ian continues to drift farther away, our weather will just continue to improve. The winds, as I said, is coming out of the west to northwest, and we at 550 knots, the sea stays choppy, and we expect that west to northwesterly winds to persist right through up until Friday, Saturday, much of into Sunday, before the winds veer back and go more to a northeast and easterly component. The outlook for Friday and Friday night, as I said, is for generally fair weather to prevail, and shower activity will be isolated because Ian is moving out of the area. Sargassum forecast, there's a medium chance that new sargassum mats will continue to affect our beaches during the next few days. And in the tropical weather outlook, by now everybody knows that Hurricane Ian has been downgraded to a tropical storm and was about 40 miles east of Orlando, Florida at 6 a.m. this morning. Ian continued towards the northeast drop at 8 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. And then we have farther out in the Atlantic, we have tropical depression number 11, and that was about a couple hundred miles west of the Cape Verde Island. TD11 was moving to the northwest at 13 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. We don't expect TD11 is not forecast to go any further. We expect it to disintegrate and move out by tomorrow, because it will come out as strong upper level winds which will just tear it apart. So Guys, April and Paul, that is much what I have for you. If you have any questions for me, I'm here.
Wow,
answer.
my only question was going to be, should we be concerned with TD11? But you answered that for me.
No,
Okay.
that's to be history.
Well, you know, like they say, when one disaster finishes, another one comes. But
we don't see any in the future right now.
You don't say that.
That in the
Perfect.
near future, we don't see anything right now.
Well, of course, we will be keeping up to date with you all at the Met Service of Belize. And as always, Catherine, thank you so much for that update.
You're welcome, April and Paul. Have a great day, guys.
Have a great
and
day.
You
stay
too.
safe.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye. Always wonderful, Catherine, to be back. But of course, we will be keeping you all updated with the weather forecast in tonight's newscast. But with that, we're going to get moving into our show for this morning. And we have 3 jam-packed sessions for you all. It's World Heart Day.
Yeah.
It's World Heart Day. And Dr. Chen Chi Lin will be in with us. She's a cardiologist at the KHMH, and will be joining us to talk all about World Heart Day. So we look forward to having him on the show this morning.
And then in our second conversation, we'll be having members of the Caribbean Association of Custom Brokers. You want to find out all about what they do, and they'll be here to chat with us about some of their conference activities. So you don't want to miss that conversation as well.
And continuing on with the Ministry of Health and Wellness Week, it's Thursday. But yeah,
What are we thirsty for, April?
Water, apparently.
Water
So
and
of course-
wellness.
Yes, they'll be in to talk to us about the continuous celebration of Wellness Week at MOH.
I can't wait.
I know, it's going to be great, but unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. You can infuse your water, you can drink coconut water, there are several substitutes, so I hear. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. But of course, you have to stick around and find out. But before we get into all of that, we'll take a very short break, and we'll be back with our first conversation. So stay tuned.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Deja mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
I feel very excited, because I never thought I would ever own something of my own, and now it feels really good because I have a place for my baby and where we can stay and we can be independent. So I'm really happy and I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
It's a dream come true. I mean, I worked at a bank. I assisted people getting mortgages and I didn't qualify to get a home of my own. I wanted to get a mortgage to better my life for my children, but I wasn't able to. So I see this as a big opportunity, especially for single mothers, to be able to own their own home and eventually expand. It's unbelievable. I'm so grateful.
And right now I'm very excited, overwhelmed. Words cannot explain how I feel. I'm very grateful, very grateful. Well, first of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity that He has given unto me, and I thank my area rep, Honorable Juno Sespat, and the government of Belize, for doing their best. I can see they are working.
Can't complain about this structure that I've received today, so I'm very proud about it, and thanks to the Ministry of Mesh ID, and I can't complain about this, and I feel proud. My kids feel so happy. She wanted to come inside bad this morning, so I tell her she got to wait, so she got the privilege to come in the house now, so she is good, so happy. I feel proud, and thanks to the Father God that I'm still here. I'm looking out for my kids.
I'm feeling very excited, super happy, and very blessed to have had this opportunity. Me and my mother, you know, we've had our own house, yes, but it's old, it's been there for years, and she's always been praying for a little house for her, you know. She's wanted this, we've wanted this, so I am very grateful and very thankful that they were able to do this for us.
Reina is one of the youngest, recently graduated, by the way, from Baptist High School. So she has ambition. And so we are trying to do our best to help them to have a solid foundation and to be able to build from there and better their lives. One of the young ladies that we handed a house up today also had some domestic problems. And so we are finding ways to help them to become independent. And once they become independent, and having shelter above their head is one of the steps towards independence, then they can plot their own future. And that's the dream. And I think that's what we are assisting in. And we will continue doing so.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
And welcome back. If you are just joining us, we have our first conversation this morning with Dr. Chen Chi Lin. He is a cardiologist at the KHMH, and he is going to be here to talk to us all about World Heart Day. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
He's also comfortable with calling him Dr. Jeff, so Paul, Dr. Jeff?
Dr. Jeff.
Dr. Jeff. So you are a cardiologist at KHMH, one of the very few cardiologists that we have in the country of Belize. Tell us about your experiences as a cardiologist working at this hospital.
Well, it's very challenging because even though there's a lack of resources, materials, it's always been a challenging. And when I started KHMH, I realized there's a lot of people with heart disease, with cardiovascular disease, not discovered. Actually, they just came in, and I would see them having these big files over a lot of years. None of them mention that they have something underneath until I actually see, finding out that they actually have this heart problem.
Walk us through that process. How do you do that?
Usually, I would just most of the time, I can say I would just pick them up in emergency room because they will come in with acute heart failure or extreme shortness of breath. Even in this pandemic era, everyone thinks, I came in with shortness of breath, everyone is COVID positive, but no. You end up with COVID negative, the shortness of breath persists. Then I started doing heart studies, like, for example, echocardiogram. Actually finding out that they have the heart that's not pumping like it's supposed to be. It's weaker than normal than other people.
What are some of the common heart diseases that we suffer with here in Belize?
I think up to now, I think the most people have what most people call them enlarged heart, but I think the correct term is called dilated cardiomyopathy, because enlarged heart, it's very broad. You know which they have 4 chambers inside the heart. You know which one is enlarged, and sometimes most people come in actually look for me because they say someone always tell them they have an enlarged heart, and then after a profound study. Well, it only being that they don't have any enlarged heart. It's just a misunderstanding. But most people come in with a dilated cardiomyopathy.
And so staying on that, we're talking what the symptoms when it comes to that sort of disease. Like what would somebody be experiencing?
Actually, it depends. It depends on most people, but most of the time, they will come in feeling, at the beginning they will start feeling they can't do what they used to be doing. Like climbing up the stairs, they realize it's harder than before. Or when you're doing their chores or exercises, that they lose their normal.
Okay.
And they start feeling, the second thing is that they start feeling that they can't sleep well. They have to sleep at a higher level.
Is this something that is caused hereditary? Is this something that we develop based on bad diet? What happens there?
When we look at dilated cardiomyopathy, the 50% of the causes is ischemic heart disease. So when we talk about ischemic heart disease, like a heart attack, coronary syndromes, some of them are hereditary. When we consider hereditary is when someone has a mom, dad, sister, brother has an early heart attack. For example, in males it would be less than 50 years old. In female it would be less than 60 years old. That's considered hereditary.
Wow.
But then the second thing afterwards is then came in with the hypertension, bad diet, high cholesterol, to be other causes. To consider a few.
Something like this, is it treatable?
Well,
Curable as well?
When we look at coronary disease, we try to, first thing, today's World Heart Day, so we try to prevent it. That's the first thing we try to do.
True.
First thing is to check your heart to actually prevent it from happening. When it happens, well, we just have to deal with it. If you say curable 100%, I don't know. But you can fix it temporarily and stabilize the coronary disease.
So how do you, when I would go in for a consultation, just to do a heart checkup, what would be the procedure?
Usually it depends on your symptoms and your risk factors. It all depends. If someone healthy, young, I would just do a normal routine, like I would say electrocardiogram and lab tests.
But so as a cardiologist, you are responsible for the diagnosis. You don't do surgery.
No,
right.
I don't do surgery.
So how do you diagnose a patient that would then equal that they would have to
need surgery? It's a very interesting fact that now as in medicine advances, the evidence, we try to keep it more conservative. The treatment is more conservative wise. Unless it's necessary, then we go invasive. Because if you notice, when we go invasive, like surgery or even something that's very minor, that we put in a stent through the leg or through the arm, those considered, they are foreign object in the body, so your body will always try to reject them. They are not yours. So the first thing is to try to do everything possible as considered possible. So when we try to go about and diagnose it, first, if we have divided if it's a valvular disease or a coronary disease, that's the first step. So we do a basic echocardiogram. Second, if someone coming with symptoms that can be some type of coronary disease, then I do something called stress test. I stress the heart so that I can see how further this heart can go. If it at a certain level that it can't go anymore, it will show changes either in echocardiogram or in the electrocardiogram when I perform the stress test.
Who should get tested? Who should get a checkup? Is it only person showing symptoms, or should everyone make it their concern to check on their heart at a certain period of time?
That's actually very controversial, because it's the evidence recommend that someone have symptoms to do these more advanced tests. First, you start with preventive medicine to actually see, okay, a normal checkup, lab, and electrocardiogram. Then with someone experiencing symptoms, then you start doing these tests. There are not any recommendations saying that you need to do this as a routine. But you start to notice that people start to hide their symptoms. That's the next thing. They never mention they have something until they come for a checkup, for example. But then when you start talking to them, they start saying, oh yeah, I have a chest pain back then and I just never pay mind to it. So most people won't come in with symptoms. They will come in for actually a normal checkup. Then they discover that their mom, dad died of a heart disease when they were very young, 40 years old. And you start suspecting, oh, he might have a coronary disease, even though he just came in for a checkup.
Right.
You keep mentioning coronary disease, vascular disease, and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit more about them? What are the differences?
Okay. The difference is that the heart consists of with 4 chambers, and they have the valve, and they have the arteries and the veins. The artery is on the outer layer of the heart, and the valve is inside the heart. So when we look at coronary disease, we're actually looking at the artery that's feeding the heart. They're giving nutrients to the heart. So when you're actually giving those nutrients towards the heart, if one of the arteries is blocked, that's a heart attack, because no more blood is feeding the heart. The heart tissue starts to die, and that's how you get a heart attack. But when you look at valvular disease, it's inside the heart. Those are valves that help the blood pumps throughout the body to the brain, to the other organs. So let's say if inside one of the heart is either very narrow, that's blocking the blood flow, you start getting other tissue failures like kidney failure, brain, you start get foggy, including sometimes your valve is so diseased, the little calcium can embolize, you can get a stroke. That's when we'll definitely open heart surgery and you change the valve.
So earlier you mentioned something interesting. You said that when you got here and you began going through the different files of different patients, that you realized that there was a lot of diagnosis being made, but nothing to say that they had some sort of heart disease. So you had a lot of people living with some form of heart disease and having no awareness of that fact. What do you think caused this to be the case in terms of people not being diagnosed properly?
The factor, well, I think some of them is they just don't want to go to the doctor. They hate going to the doctor. Most of them is like that. And some of them would think, this is nothing. I can work through this thing. And so most of the time they're not actually discovered. Sometimes they can pick up by a private doctor, and they prefer just to treat the patient by themselves. That's one of the causes also.
But I would imagine it's life-threatening.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous to be living with these types of conditions and not see a doctor, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Heart disease is one of the top killing diseases in Belize, right? What do you think is the issue when it comes to persons that don't really understand what is happening with their heart? Or how can we as civilians try to get a little bit of a testing to understand, okay, maybe something is wrong with my heart. Not so much I have a flu or but something is wrong with my heart.
Like the symptoms?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, maybe not symptoms, but you said if I run up the stairs and I can't, catch my breath, what other, how else can I track something like that?
Well, the first thing is the shortness of breath, and also when you look at either valvular disease or coronary disease, some of the time is chest pain. They actually have people came in with chest pain. When you start experiencing chest pain, the tightness, they don't usually refer to as pain itself. It's in general a tightness towards the chest. And every time they're doing something with effort, they're just feeling this tightness that they can't go anymore.
Did COVID play any role in advancing heart diseases in Belize?
I think that's definitely, because we get out recently, not recently, but during this period, we get a lot of patients with COVID positive and have a heart attack at the same time.
Yeah.
So they start doing study that COVID actually is a inflammatory factor that causes many inflammations in the body. And so previously, person that already have a coronary disease, not discovered, get unstable after they're having COVID and leading to a heart attack.
Yeah.
We have had persons be diagnosed with heart leakages. So what causes those, and how can those be cured or even prevented?
I think the most common here leakage is the rheumatic disease. They're still having, like from childhood, they have the rheumatic fever, and they start causing the small inflammation in the valves and causing either stenosis or either leakage towards these valves. So to actually prevent these factors from early stages, when they first start getting their symptoms of rheumatic fever, they have rash, pain, and they find out they have an infection in the throat. That's when they need to pay more attention on having their monthly injection of antibiotics prevent it from progressing in adulthood as a valve leakage.
But when that happens, what can be done?
Well, that's a very good question because it all depends on the valve, because this different valve is different approach. So when we look at the valve, the first thing we do is medical treatment. The thing about these valves is that we can't be that conservative as a coronary disease. When it's a valve leakage, we go in straightforward and do a change the valve. So it all depends on which valve it is, and we will look at the more urgent one.
Are you aware of the stats in Belize in terms of how many persons are suffering with some form of heart disease? Statistics?
Exactly no. But if you notice, we just do open heart surgery the other week. I think 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago. That's just a few that we selected because it was more urgent. We have more to come, more to do, because there's a lot of I pick up a lot from here, from KHMH, from other sectors, and
So World Heart Day, it's not just something that KHMH is celebrating, but throughout the world. What are we doing for today? How are we able to get the word out about these types of diseases?
I think it's heart. If it's a very interesting factor, the heart is something that we actually can hear and feel. That's the only organ that we can hear and feel, and it's the first sign of life and the first sign of ending of life also. So I think today is a good day to appreciate the heart is beating, and to let the world know that it's very important that cardiovascular disease is very important, and to go towards that. I think everyone should, do their routine and start checking their heart with their responsible doctors, like the general practitioner, their internist, whichever one is available for them.
So what can civilians do to spread the word for World Heart Day?
Spread the word?
Yeah.
I would say that's a very difficult to spread the word.
Hey, how can I, if I see Paul and I said, I think you really need to get your heart checked, and he said, but I'm 25, I'm young and ambitious, I don't need to get my heart checked, but also he's panting when he comes up the steps.
I will tell him that that the only thing that keeping you alive is your heart.
Woo!
If you notice that if the heart fails, all the organ fails.
Indeed.
It's very different than other ones. If the lung fails, the heart doesn't fail. If the kidney fails, sometimes the heart fails. But if the heart fails, every other organ fails. So that's why it's most important.
That's solid.
It is.
Do you believe that there's enough information out there that Belizeans are being informed and educated enough on these conditions? Or what can be done for more of that to happen if that's not the case?
I think what occurs that people don't do exercise. I notice that no one likes to go and do exercise, even though I know it's hard because people have to work and go on. Even in this pandemic period is very difficult. The other way to get the word out, I think a good way is I think everywhere does it, marathons. They go and promote these coronary disease World Heart Day or coronary disease day, doing marathons. Everyone needs a bit of exercise every day.
Yeah.
To help
So
perform.
you're preaching, if you go to a marathon though, you would be preaching to the choir because these are people that are fit and are exercising. Perhaps you go to the to some of the fried food places and give that message, or you go to some of the street side vendors and give that message as well. Correct? Yeah.
Dr. Chen, is there any future perhaps workshops or educational campaigns that KHMH or you plan to do for Belizeans to discuss the importance of understanding the heart and heart diseases?
Future campaigns, I think is not planned yet, but there's always chance to be planning. Yeah. But next year, I think it's going to be a different year. It's going to be a good year that we're going to be more. There are more stuff to do, and we're going to have more, I guess, more chances to do more stuff. Yeah. This year is just beginning of testing of doing the things that we can do in KHMH.
Talk to us a bit more about prevention. because you said that that's one of the key things you want to focus on is as the first step, prevention. So you mentioned exercise. What sort of exercise? Like, how long should you be exercising during the day?
Just a treadmill run.
And then diet as well. What does that look like?
First with exercise, I think the exercise you should at least do 30 minutes per day and 5 days a week. So the recommendation is basically 150 minutes for a week. When you're doing low to moderate intensity exercises. When you're doing high intensity exercises, the recommendation is just 75 minutes, 3 times a week.
Okay.
So that's the actual recommendation. What type of exercise, it depends on what you like to do. We don't want to force you to do something that you don't actually like.
Right.
Like if I tell you to go play football, you don't like to play football, or
Right.
basketball. It all depends on which one they like to do. Some people prefer running, some people prefer tennis, table tennis, swimming. All depends. So they always have this low intensity exercise that include table tennis, double. When you're playing the tennis, actually tennis, when you play doubles, it's considered moderate intensity. When you're swimming, that's low intensity exercises. When you're fast walking, that's low to moderate intensity exercises. For most people, I always try to remember, just go walk. That's the only, everybody, it's available, it's free. Walk the street, the stadium. Just do your walking, your fast walk. But not just walking, because you have to balance it out. You have the endurance exercise and you have the strength exercise. So some type of weightlifting is very good.
So, and what does this do for the heart?
That actually, you try to condition the heart to let the heart pump a little bit better, and you condition it to any other circumstances, like they can withstand more stress from the heart. So you start having more blood flow, you start developing more endurance. The heart will, you can say, will lead. For example, if you do exercise, you'll notice that at lead their heart rate is very low compared to normal person. So you realize that the heart, every heartbeat pumps a volume. So that's why they say every heartbeat matters. So if at least pumping 55 and you're pumping 100, means that he needs less time, but he pumps a lot of blood outside the heart to all the necessity of all the organs. But you need a 100 heartbeat to get the requirement for all the organs, so you're not doing very great.
Right. So he pumps, the at least heart pumps
less
and gets more, and the unfit person just pumps more and still does not get the same amount. And that's an issue.
That's an issue.
In terms of nutrition, what can you tell us about what the right nutrition is for the heart?
I think the nutrition, everyone is thinking about, well, no fried food, you can't go eat fried chicken, of that sort. That's very difficult.
And then people start saying that.
Or next thing I say something, you can't get fried chicken, I kill the business from that sector. But I would just say, just have a balanced diet. You know, all the obvious thing put on the table, they will say, oh, a Mediterranean diet, which consists of more vegetable, more legumes, less fried food. Some would say fish, and decrease salt intake. But for me, I think balanced diet is balanced diet, and a good exercise is very important. Not to take away from the other businesses and that.
Let me ask you one thing about smoking. Is that something that affects the heart as well? How bad are you telling people you should quit smoking?
I think when I'm interviewing patients, and that's the first thing we usually ask. Yes, do you smoke? How often do you smoke? And they will say, I don't smoke. And that's a lie. I would say, I was just asking, is it never ever? Oh yes, I smoked, like 10 years ago, and I quit. But it's just that when you quit, it doesn't mean that it's not a factor. It goes away. Your risk decreases. Yes, it's true. Your decreases by 50% after 10 years of stop smoking. But it's there. You need to pay the bill afterwards.
Wow. So what's the risk of smoking then?
The smoke, as you smoke, we calculate the tobacco indexes. So when you have a smoke index high, then you start getting heart disease. Not just heart, but cardiovascular disease in general. As cardiovascular disease referring to all the vessels in the body, not just the heart. You have the heart, the brain, the peripheral vessel. You can get if you notice people get amputated legs, that's because some of the time they have a vascular disease, one of the arteries clog up. can get a stroke, a brain bleed, the heart coming to the coronary disease.
No.
That's a very big factor.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the topics of discussion that happened after COVID was how do we get back the educational campaign on other diseases that plague Belize. And it's no secret that heart disease is one of our top killers, but we often shy away from masses and cancerous masses in the heart. We kind of think about cancer in the kidney or the liver or the colon. We don't talk about cancer in the heart. So do we have a high ratio of that in Belize? How do we detect that?
When you look at cancer in the heart, at least I haven't picked up any as of now. But when you have cancer in the heart, to actually pick up that, I usually do a heart ultrasound, echocardiogram, to actually pick up if there's any masses inside the heart. And I think those cancers inside the heart, it's very not frequent. They are usually sometimes most common is the benign tumors that you can easily look at it. There's a tumor, we resect it, and that's the end of the problem. But in general, cancer inside the heart is very, very not very frequent. But if you speak of cancer, it's very interesting that you see all those kidney cancers, where the most common here is the breast cancer and colon cancer. And you notice that they're starting getting chemotherapy. What they don't realize is that many people, I know the oncologist, so me and him always speak to each other, we talk to each other, because if you notice all the chemotherapy that they give is very toxic to the heart. So you realize that we start asking for echocardiogram every now and again for all the people receiving chemotherapy, because they are toxic, and it depends on the cardiologist to say, okay, you know what, let's take a break from the chemotherapy to let the heart recover, because sometimes you can die from the chemotherapy.
So trying to reduce one disease can
Causing
cause
the next
another.
As we seek to wrap up the conversation, as we move towards that time, what are the services that Belizeans can access at their health facilities to sort of either get a checkup or to seek to understand how their heart is functioning right now, even if they suspect something?
I think the most accessible one is lab tests. They can actually go for looking at the lipid level, how's the lipid level. There are some biomarkers for the heart also that they can actually request and see their heart condition. And the most basic one is an electrocardiogram that can detect electrical activities and see if there's any changes that they can notice to begin with.
Can they get that at any of the public health facilities?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
So World Heart Day is today, September 29th. You can go on social media and put the little heart emoji just so that you spread awareness. You can share your stories with families and friends that you know have had a heart disease. Heart disease is the second killer in Belize, I believe it is. And so we want to be able to spread the word so that you're able to get a checkup and prevent yourself. Dr. Chen, thank you so much for coming in today.
Well, thank you for having me also.
We hope that more persons come in to get their heart checks.
Thank you.
With that, we are going to take a break and we'll be back with our second conversation. This is Open Your Eyes live on BAD.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Traveler, are you?
Applying for a Social Security sickness benefit? Here's what you need to know. A complete claims package include 1. Sickness claim form fully completed by the claimant and medical doctor. 2. Salaries record form completed by the employer or HR representative. 3. Proof of bank account such as bank book, online banking, or statement displaying your name and account number. To submit via email, you need to take a clear photo or scan of the documents and email to claims@socialsecurity.org.bz. Be sure to include your full name, social security number, and benefit type in the subject line of the email. Deadline to submit is 14 days from your first day of illness. All forms are available on the website at www.socialsecurity.org.bz. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds.
All right, and we are back with our second conversation for this morning. And as we promised, we have in with us members of the Caribbean Association of Custom Brokers. We have Mr. Delroy Fairweather, who is a member of the Belize
Custom Brokers Association.
Custom Brokers Association. Yeah. And then we have Mr. Kazim Sergio.
That's right.
Who is a rep of the Trinidad and Tobago Custom Brokers Association. So we have international representation in with us, as well as our very own Belizean. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Guys.
How are you both this morning?
Excellent, thanks.
Awesome.
So for those of us that are not aware, right? My first question is, what is brokerage? And why should I care about brokerage?
Right. Well, that's a very good question. And why you should care, because when you go to the stores and you see those prices are at an elevated cost, and you wonder, how do these items get on the shelves? Why does it cost so much? Well, we don't contribute to that, of course. We are just the persons who actually
try to keep the cost down.
Yeah, our job is to actually ensure that when items enter into the country, it is cleared within the regulations. And apart from being cleared within the regulations, the proper rate of duties are collected and so forth. So we are, as I could remember one of my colleagues mentioned, that we are actually would be called attorneys for our clients when it comes to customs related work. Okay. So we clear goods that comes in by land, air or sea. So anything that you would see, these chairs that we're sitting on have to be imported. We will make declarations for it, television, the cameras, the lights, you know, basically it's endless what we do.
So you work closely with the private sector?
Yes, we
basically.
do.
Yes, I'm employed with a company called Rotoplastics Trinidad Limited. They are the manufacturers of water tanks, flower pots, septic tanks, which we ship throughout the Caribbean as well.
Right, we know about the brand in Belize.
Yeah, and it's a top of the line brand. We stand by our quality, 10 years warranty on a tank.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
selling.
Right, I listened to the marketing a little bit. But why is it important for Belizeans to understand at this particular level the importance of taxing and importing and exporting?
Well, it informs you basically to make decisions when it comes to purchasing. You know, and I have mentioned over and over that with the recent pandemic, people will need to start purchasing goods that they actually need as opposed to what they want. So that by itself, that is where we would come in. And again, like I said, you know, we need to look for all the different trade routes. We need to liaise with the shipping agents to try and find the best possible rates. Now, that kind of highlights the whole conference that we're having, which should have started today, but unfortunately, a lot of our members who are traveling from the different territories are stuck in Miami. We're hoping that, well, we have seen where they will start boarding flights today and tomorrow. So we had to make an adjustment to the conference schedule, and it will actually start tomorrow afternoon at the Best Western Biltmore Plaza, 3:30, where all the country presidents will be representing and doing question and answers. Then we move into Saturday, which would be the main conference to focus on transportation, logistics, and so forth. And I can't leave my friend Kazim to just advertise his product without Benny's advertising theirs. But no, and again, in the Caribbean, we're similar in nature because it's ironic that I've been working at Benny's for the last 19 plus years, and I told Kazim that we have supported them by purchasing from them for many years. So when I found out he's working for Rotoplastic, I was like, oh, Kazim, you know, I'm the custom broker.
Relate.
So this is what the conference will do. It will network us with people that we ordinarily maybe just talk to on emails and so forth. And of course, with Zoom, we had managed to start seeing what people actually, you know, start to see our counterparts.
Why is it that your private sector clients require this type of service, the custom broker service, as opposed to them doing this sort of procedure themselves?
Yeah, so it's basically a very technical job of such. it requires knowledge of classification of goods. It requires knowledge of trade agreements that we have throughout the world, because Belize does not only just trade with our CARICOM partners, we also trade with Europe, Asia, Central American countries. Each of these countries we may benefit from some sort of trade agreement that we have with them. For example, with CARICOM, it's a plus for us because there's exemptions from certain duties and taxes,
Right.
because of the whole free trade agreement. And the question is that custom brokerage ordinarily was done by the importers back in the days, but it has become so technical now,
Yeah, because of the laws and stuff.
Yeah.
That we know the laws of customs and
Yeah.
excise.
Yeah.
And we're specialized in that field. So that's why you need the custom brokers.
Yeah.
When we talk about cultural trade, cultural relations with the Caribbean, diplomatic relations with the Caribbean, but we don't talk that much about trading.
Yeah.
So when we partner with all of these Caribbean countries, what is that procedure like for export, import? What are we bringing into Belize? How do you measure that for the sustainability of your population, and then the same for the other Caribbean countries?
Well, I think what it does, the networking allows us to, again, like I said, actually reach out to our counterparts, because custom brokers do not only just act as agents for an importer. Maybe before Kazim leaves from here, we will be sending stuff to them.
Yeah.
So, it's a network that it brings. And again, like I said, we understand what it takes to move goods throughout this world. One of our anticipation in the conference, we're looking at exploring a special economic zone within Jamaica. What they have is something set up like a free zone where goods can actually go into that area without some of the regulatory framework, and it can be warehoused there, and then those goods can actually be distributed throughout. So it would work, vice versa. So that's one of the main highlights of the conference for this weekend. So, like I said, it's basically networking, trying to get goods into markets and so forth.
Mr. Kazim, if you would perhaps give us an insight into what your job is like in Trinidad and Tobago. I understand it would be a bit different in that you guys don't necessarily trade with all the same places that we trade with. One, and two, you're talking about a much larger population, so where there would be a much larger demand for products as well. Would you speak to?
Yes, well, each companies have their brokers.
Yeah.
Our company has an in-house brokerage company, which we work directly with the company.
Yeah.
And our job entails, like, once we get the documents from the suppliers, after the purchase is made, they'll send us the invoices. We'll arrange the freight and stuff with which shipping line we want to come through, which is cheaper and everything. Then we do up the documents, we clear the shipments, and the aim is to clear it without paying rent or any additional charges, and to pay the correct amount of rate of duty and taxes to the government. So that way you keep the cost down, and the competition is better for you when your goods are coming much cheaper than other people. So
there's quite a bit of negotiation going on.
It is, and you must know what you're doing. If you don't know, then you can be in serious trouble and cost your company lots of money and cost your job as well.
Yeah.
We talk about shipping throughout the Caribbean and Central America and so forth. Do you cover all formats of shipping, marine, territorial, flight? So when it comes to our Caribbean, we know we have this problem of not being able to, right now your people are stuck in Miami, right?
Right.
So are we having those open discussions about direct transportation?
Yes, that's what we're trying to bargain for that.
How does that work?
So as a regional body, CACOB, and with the membership of all the CARICOM member states, we sit on various trade facilitation boards, CARICOM boards, and so forth. I have one gentleman in particular, the Vice President Louis Ford from Barbados, and unfortunately he will not be able to make it. His flight was scheduled to leave Barbados, I think it was yesterday, and of course, and that's an overnight. So to Belize, which would definitely bring him here. One of the things we want to look at is to actually try and lobby as a collective body. We have to start looking at flights within the region.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not sure if Liat still exists. That used to be, I think, one of the Caribbean airlines, which would have been inter-island. If we can at least try at least one flight per week from the Caribbean to Belize and vice versa, you know, we could start off. We could just start with one. You know, I always use the analogy of when I'm not promoting Red Stripe beer, but anyway, I used to do custom clearance for that company, and when that beer first started coming to Belize, that was like once every 3 months a container used to have came in, and afterwards it starts picking up. So it would be the same, you know, unconventional flight routes, but I think we could definitely fill those planes if it's even scheduling.
So we're talking about flights for goods solely, or
no, it would be both for persons likewise, because for cargo it's the same. We either have to send it through Miami, and from Miami we need to get it.
Why? What happens within that route that we have to send it to a different state if you were receiving it in Belize?
So for what happened, it's apparent that it's more feasible for the cargo flights to in transit through the U.S. because that's their main hub. For example, we have a vessel that comes from Jamaica on a weekly basis. So for goods getting back into Jamaica, for example, which is our first port of entry for ocean goods, we have seen where that's a lot easier. Now the issue is when it gets to Jamaica and it needs to go to any other Caribbean island, they will put it on a vessel that goes up to Miami and brings it back down into the region. So this is a part of all the discussion that we want to have, where we could see what smaller feeder vessels could be used to move from Jamaica without going back up, because every time that cargo touches a port, the cost increase.
I was going to ask, doesn't that increase the price?
Yes, it does.
Yes. So the value of goods would be at a better, more affordable rate if we just did direct.
But I wonder how much volume plays a factor in that, in terms of how feasible is it really to ship small quantities of product directly across the Caribbean versus that just being a part of the itinerary for these much larger demands in different parts of the world.
Well, then that will be better for the economy, because you'll have a lot of people will now be shipping direct. So you'll get a quantity, and then you'll get the volume of the freight.
Right.
And this is where where that special economic zone would work, because what we're doing, we have given an invitation to the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry to us manufacturers to sit in virtual on Saturday, because we'll be doing a presentation on that, and we have asked where if people can start working together to consolidate their goods, because you could ship X amount of cargo within a 20-foot container. The vessel goes back practically half empty. So, you know, what it costs to take a container back into Jamaica, it's not as expensive as moving, let's say, from China, which is around $15,000-$20,000 US, you know, and that's the pandemic effect.
But who benefits from this? I don't want to say the word ridiculous, but who benefits from the idea of the trade going back up and then down and then up and then down?
So, of course, you know, they refer to, and I hope I don't get myself in the problem, they refer to these shipping agents or these shipping companies, the larger ones, because they are actual like cartels. And that's what they have been referred to, because since the pandemic, what had happened, these guys actually, their job is just to bring freight. So I know you guys might be a little bit too young to remember this, but we used to have, when you used to go to Martinique, they used to have what they call the scalpers. These persons would go and buy up all the tickets, and then from them resell. So you have third parties who are purchasing slots on the vessel, and then turn around and sell it for a prime price. So, you know, it's like they will say, I have these rates available for you, or these containers available for you. if you don't take it within 5 minutes, believe you me, it will be
Somebody
sold
else.
somewhere else.
What will the conversation be during the conference when it comes to these increased costs in shipping? How will the Regional Custom Brokers Association seek to remedy this? Because it's like you rightfully said earlier, it's not only affecting your clients, but it's also affecting the consumers on the ground with these increase in goods.
So we will have to basically look at routes which would be more feasible and find the suitable way of getting goods within the islands. And again, like I said, with our many years of experience and our knowledge that we have, it will take a little bit of research on our end to actually look at. Like I said, I would want to get something into Trinidad. If the person is not in a rush, then look, there's a way we could consolidate these cargo, shared costs, and then try and move it from there. And this is where I would get in contact with Kazim. Kazim, what vessel do you guys have from going from Jamaica to Trinidad?
Okay.
Then he would say, okay, you know what, we have this vessel going these days, and this is the agent or this is the person that you'll use, because we will do a lot of networking. So that's the whole purpose of this conference. And mind you guys, this is the first time in Belize that we're ever holding a conference of this magnitude.
What's the size? How many persons?
We are expecting between 30 to 40 persons.
Okay.
It would have been more. Again, a lot of the issues, it's because of the traveling and not because of the weather. It's just to have people, what it costs to have them come here to Belize.
You imagine custom brokers who ship stuff and
They're the
move
ones
stuff.
telling you we have a
They're
problem.
the ones telling you we have a problem with moving ourselves at this time. It's quite it's quite
But what we're
ironic.
going to do, we're going to lobby to our Minister of Trade and for them to lobby with the Secretariat of the CARICOM Secretariat to see if they could put pressure on the shipping agents and them to kind of break down those fees, as well as try to make a straight flight to Belize and stuff.
Right.
So that's what we're hoping to come out of it as well.
Do you think that the price increase of fuel will be something that will probably be a limitation to this?
It plays a significant role, because when what happened, there's what they would refer to it as a bunker surcharge, because apparently the vessels utilize a different type of fuel to operate. And I have seen where that has gone up significantly. I know it is dropping, but we're not seeing that yet, because remember, it takes sometimes 60 plus days for containers to arrive here in Belize. So if you have ordered goods that are in transit and the rate falls in between that time, you won't see any change in any prices, because you have already paid for that specific transportation. So I am not seeing rates fall on shipping until maybe sometime in next year. And I am thinking maybe like the first quarter, because these shipping companies work on a quarterly basis. You will see that I read articles where these guys are boasting of millions and billions that they're making.
And they're using everything as an excuse, like the war right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything is.
Right. And that is, of course, the disadvantage again for consumers. So let me ask one final question on my end. So are the prices on the shelves, these increased prices that we're experiencing, are they justified as a result of all factors at play when it comes to shipping products? And I ask that because you also mentioned earlier that you negotiate on behalf of your clients. Are you negotiating the best prices so that Belizeans can actually feel some sort of relief?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go first, and then I'll let Kazim go. Yes, because again, the rate has increased exponentially. The shipping rates have actually gone up 300%.
Okay.
So, like I said, ordinarily, where you would have paid $5,000 US to get a container into Belize, it's now around $15,000 US. And if you factor that into the cost of the goods, it takes up the cost. The rates are going down at maybe 5 or 10%. You'll hear like maybe every other week. That still leaves you with at least 250 plus percent on the shipping cost. And when you factor in the cost to the goods, for example, you would say $1 is equivalent to $2 Belize. No, because of that rate, then $1 is equivalent to $2.20, $2.50, depending on what rate you had received on that time. And then the duties and taxes are calculated. Mind you that, yes, maybe people could actually try and see how best they could reduce their prices, but honestly, it is so restrictive in terms of, recovering costs. You have a large overhead, you have employees to pay, so it's really and truly difficult.
Well, I hope that we are invited to the conference. Tell us again when and where.
Okay, so the conference starts tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. at the Best Western Biltmore Plaza. The country presidents will be represented. They will be doing a short presentation. It will be both virtually and in person. Then on Saturday, the conference kicks off at 7:45 a.m. Again, we had to make some adjustments to the schedule, and it will go right up until 4. Of course, we will send a general invitation to the media to at least you could cover the opening ceremonies. We have the Honorable Eamon Courtney, who will do the keynote address for us. We have the CEO from the Ministry of Trade, likewise, Ms. Amal Emai. We have the Customs Department, who is a partner with Custom Brokers. Myself, the President from Belize, and we have other persons who will be doing presentation and so forth.
Even though I'm not a broker, can I attend the conference?
Yes, we have a virtual, you could do it virtually or in person. It comes at a cost though, because we're doing cost recovery. I am a little bit shy to say what's the amount, but anyway, but I'm just messing around.
It's not about cost.
It's not about cost. Honestly, what happened, it actually, for persons attending the conference, it's $500 US, and that basically gives you access to the entire conference. You will get your conference package. Of course, we will take care of all your incidentals in terms of food and so forth. We have a gala at the end of the conference, meet and greet, etc. So, we are mixing a little bit of business and pleasure. And if you would want to do it virtually, we actually have a virtual link. It's $200 US to register virtually. Again, like I said, I know most persons would just want to sit in a conference for that, because then we're like, well, does it really matter? But for us, it does. So
I mean, I think that it does matter. At the end of the day, I do watch all of the prices of the regular foods that I buy go up almost every month.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It is of importance.
Yes. And we are, again, like I said, we are very knowledgeable in this field, and we would have no problem explaining in details the cost factor and how goods actually comes into the country, how it's the cost is applied and so forth.
I mean, I'm talking layman terms in terms of like food products, but when I think about things like how much it costs to build a home now, because all of these metals are extremely expensive, cement is expensive, everything is expensive, and so
transportation costs.
Transportation costs.
Yeah.
So
Transport costs.
thank you, gentlemen, so much for.
Thank you very
I
much,
wish we
April.
could continue the conversation because I have a lot more questions, but
Bring us back,
time
man.
is yes. Please do come back, and of course we will do some media coverage on your conference. Best of luck. I hope your people get in safely.
Yes.
And have a great conference.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to take another break, and we'll be back with more Wellness Week from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So stay tuned.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Messi! Off goal! What a goal from Leo Messi! What an incredible strike from Leo Messi! Neymar and Messi is standing over this. Messi! Off goal! What a goal from Leo
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Hi, I'm Chef Sean Quillen. I love cooked fish fillet, and I prefer to get my fish straight at the fish market right here at Conchel Bay. But you see, sometimes you come out here and you don't know what you're getting. The fish has no label, it has no patch of skin. But don't worry about it. I am here today to teach you how to avoid fish fraud. When purchasing your fillet, remember to look out for the patch of skin required by law. Or you could tell them by the physical characteristics. Long and slender, barracuda. Nice white meat, hagfish. The deep bloodline from the bow to the stand, that is jack. When buying in bulk or buying out of a bag, make sure to inspect each fillet individually to avoid what we call in a Creole, pussy in a bag. What a pussy in a bag? Fraud. Is that not the help you? Because even for me as a professional chef at this man for 40 years, that's really challenging. All I could tell you is buy from a reputable source or buy it whole. And if all of that's not available to you, just go to fishrighteatright.com and we at Oceana have a fish identification chart. Because guess where you're going here now? We talk about bloodline just now one thing, and that's a snapper, right? Classic snapper. What kind of snapper this?
This is nurse shark.
Nurse shark. Highly illegal. No make they trick you, no make you buy pussy in a bag. Do the right thing. Fish right. Eat right.
My beautiful Belize, my land of the free, my home and it's bound by the Caribbean Sea. Valiant and bold, proud we are strong. Belize we rebound at age 41. Belize we are free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. To be whatever you wanna be. Free and independent. We're free and independent. Free and independent. We're changing our country. We're free. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart. So make we celebrate with smart. Come celebrate with smart. Make we celebrate with smart. Let's celebrate with smart.
The entire Smart family wishes all Belizeans a safe and happy September celebrations. Smart, bringing people together.
And we are back with our final conversation for this morning, and it's Thirsty Thursday. So you know what? We're not a drink this morning.
I was a little bit, disappointed, but
That's
I will
okay,
see what
April.
we talk about
That's
this morning.
We have a life outside of the show, you know.
do? Okay.
Yes, and so we're gonna have a final conversation, and this is surrounding Wellness Week. And of course we have our friends here from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We have Mr. Kenrick Samuels, who is Outreach Case Coordinator for the National Drug Abuse Control Council with the Belize District Office, that's NDOC for short. And we also have Mr. Errol Longsworth, who is the Treatment and Rehabilitation Unit Coordinator. Forgive me, gentlemen, for botching the term, but
we tried.
It's a long
acronym.
Acronym. We know it as NDOC for short, but nonetheless, we're not here for that. We're here to find out what it is that you guys are doing in terms of Wellness Week. So let's first start with Mr. Kerwick to tell us a bit about NDOC and what it is that you guys do.
Okay. Well, the National Drug Abuse Control Council, we specialize in treatment and rehabilitation as well as prevention, right? Drug prevention. So we have two units. One that does prevention, they would go into schools, right? And they would speak to students when it comes to the prevention aspect of it, give them the facts about drugs and controlled substances and see where they're at when it comes to where they are thinking, the trends they are following, etc. Then we have our unit, right, that deals with treatment and rehab. So we're the unit that comes in contact with individuals that need help, right, direct help. So we provide outpatient care. So they would come to us for about 6 weeks, one session per week, and we would give them, based on the severity of their condition, we would give them brief intervention sessions, right, somewhat like drug counseling, right, and see where they're at, and if they need further help, we will do referrals and network with other individuals such as the psychiatric nurse, human development, even the magistrate court sometimes, and obviously the rehabilitation centers.
How do you get your clients or patients? Do you go and actively seek them out, or is it something where they seek out these services? What's the majority?
Okay, well, we have a lot of walk-ins these days in which they would seek out the service. Okay. We also have a lot of referrals. So let's just say they have a case of domestic violence due to being under the influence. Human development would refer them to NDOC for them to get the help, or the magistrate court would just refer them there, and so forth. So we have different entities that would refer them to us, and then we have walk-in clients in which their family would come in, their parents would come in, bring them. Sometimes the schools would come in, some of the principals or vice principals would come in and bring the students so that they can get help.
We often see in the media and on the news where folks are arrested for drug abuse and treatment and the behavior that they portray because of it. And most of the time, people think that you're carried in a jail and that's it, right? But Mr. Longsworth, what happens after they have come to ask you for assistance? Where do they go?
So treatment in Belize is kind of fairly new. Our unit is around 12 years in the making. We're still getting there, trying to promote people that, you know what, addiction is a chronic disease, meaning that there is no cure for it, but it can be treated. And so putting into the whole aspect about it, the term addiction and how people see it already. When we hear addiction, people feel like, okay, this person can stop drinking if they want. You know, the accident and everything that happens is because the person is just the way how they're acting. So nobody ever look at it as, you know what, this person may have a problem, and just see them as they are the problem. So putting treatment into context now and letting people know that, you know what, this person has a problem and it can be treated. So we are at the unit now, when it comes to those cases, the treatment is still not like predominant, saying that, okay, this person needs help. It's just a quick fix that everybody wants and say that, okay, this individual is going through something and we have to get rid of this situation quick, fast, and hurry. But when it comes to treatment, it takes time because now it will be for your entire life that you will have to be continuously checking up on yourself and see, you know what, I need to see where I'm at today. How's my feelings? How is my situation? Do I really need my coping mechanism, which is my drugs? And so all of that we have to put into context when we help that individual.
We talk about mental wellness a lot, but we don't think about rehabilitation as a part of the process and the journey. why do you think that Belizeans are they don't want to talk about that? They don't want to even engage with something called rehab.
Yeah. Because one thing that would put people into that context is that now we are showing our weakness. And then like drinking, the one who didn't last long at the end of the drinking session is the weak link.
Yeah, sure.
And then so
Can't
the next
handle your
day
liquor.
you will be reminded
Yeah.
that you are the weak link.
Weak up by.
Yeah. We see that a lot, like, you know, with people in uniforms and everything, like, you know, in that context, in that setting, you'll be labeled as a weak link. And now that bringing down my self-esteem and the culture itself, our Belizean culture, we like to diminish the weaker ones. We tease them a lot and everything. And now for me to go and face that crowd the next day, I rather stay away. And then now you wonder, what is that person going through? Self-esteem is crushed, self-concept, everything. And so now this individual is going through a lot. Being could even lead to trauma where they will feel like, okay, you know what, now I'm less of a person. Then trying to cope with that, they go back to the source or the drug that can help me relieve this feeling that I'm going through, because nobody else look at me and say, you know what, hey, you know what, it's okay. We fall sometimes, but you can get up back.
Do we as Belizeans have a problem when it comes to addiction and drug abuse?
I wouldn't say I can't really say we have a problem or don't have a problem, because based on the numbers, right, or figures, if they're too high, let's just say we have too many clients coming in, and it shows we have a problem, right? And if it's too low, right, it means that a lot of individuals do have a problem, but they're not seeking help, right? So it's hard to really measure, you know, if we do have a problem. But what I'm seeing so far for this year, we have a lot of issues when it comes to alcoholism, right? A lot of individuals are misusing alcohol, right? Marijuana as well, but mostly alcohol. You know, a lot of young people as well. I'm seeing a lot of young people as well as females, right? I'm having a lot of referrals based on females that are misusing, and they're putting their child's life at risk, you know, and a lot of males, you know, that are using or, you know, indulging in domestic violence. So that's what I'm seeing so far for Belize district, all right?
So how do you start treatment? I would imagine there must be some level of empathy involved in the process, given the fact that you said some people feel as if they're weak, if they can't handle their liquor, for example. And so to come to you to share their experience, how do you initiate that conversation with that person to say this is a place where you can get help and you won't be judged as you are experiencing outside?
The first thing is to bring conscious to their situation. Because, like you said, Belizeans, we don't feel like we have a problem. If you ask anybody who drink especially Thursday, do you think you have a problem?
Right, no, I get it.
You would think you have a problem, you see, because that by itself adds to the addiction. Because once you program your body, mentally, your body will alter its homeostasis to remind you that something is missing on a Thursday. So you will feel the discomfort as Thursday hit. You feel this discomfort, like, you know, you're sweating, your heart starts pumping, and you wonder why this discomfort. But it's the body knowing that every Thursday you drink. So what happened today? So it reminds you, like, hey, you know what? You need this alcohol. This is where it comes in. Then what we also try to do is try to create that empathy in changing the terminology. Because if you label anybody as an addict, they say, no, not me, because I'm not the one on the park laying down. I'm not that guy that you saw on Carnival Day leaning over. No, I'm not that guy. So we label, as we see addiction, we see a picture already. So that's why the term has changed now to substance misuse disorder. so that the person knows that, you know what, my situation is something way beyond me not having the ability just to stop. I have a disease and it can be treated. So and once people come into that conscious knowing that, you know what, you're not the addiction, but you're just the symptoms of everything that is going through in your life, and it can be helped. Once we, because you know, parents will say, oh, we would reach with their child and who is smoking marijuana and say, my son is an addict. That kid already knows what addiction is from what they see. Yeah. So this is what you're referring me as. No, I'm not that type of person. This is where they go into total denial. Total denial, because I know what addiction looks like.
So in describing the disease, how do you do that? Do you refer to it as a mental disease?
It's a chronic disease.
It's a chronic disease.
Yeah, like diabetes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it cannot be cured. There's no curing to it. But if you change your lifestyle, it can be treated.
Yeah.
And it's not only the individual that has to change. The family has to change as well.
Yeah,
so this makes it more challenging because, like, you know, if you have the cancer, you try to get rid of the cancer and everything is good, but it stays there. And then if the family doesn't change along with it, because they will say, you know what, they're not me with the problem.
You got a problem.
But then the context within the family has to change to adapt to that setting so that this person, when he returns back home, it's not the same as usual.
Well, how closely does NDAP work with the police department to make sure that you're not incarcerating a criminal, but you're incarcerating probably somebody that has this disease?
Okay, well, we usually have trainings with the community police department. We are very close-knitted with the community police. I believe we had a training before COVID, all right? And it was, well, last year. It was last year we had it. Yeah, COVID was still happening. But nevertheless, we had a training with them and for them to understand the different terms, etc., and for them to relate to the people, because sometimes what we have an issue with is when they arrest someone, when they're under the influence, you treat them differently because you feel like, oh, this person, and sometimes they're not even under the influence. Sometimes they're suffering from a mental disorder. So you treat them because, oh, this person, everyone visualizes this person as, oh, he's an addict. Right? So they would rough up that person, you know, treat this person differently. So a lot of the officers mention that based on the training, what they do understand now is just how to empathize with these individuals, right? And that was something sometimes lacking because it's hard. I know they have to do their job, they have to be strong and firm, but we still have to empathize with individuals and know how to cope with these individuals when we encounter them.
Because when you are interacting with somebody and you see them as having a chronic disease, then it becomes a different mindset and a different approach than if you just see, oh, he's a drunkard or oh, he's an addict. Because somebody with a chronic disease, you wouldn't rough them up or treat them in a manner that would cause further harm to them. But to be real, we live in a population, a society that are avid party goers. We love party. And every jump up, every fete, we did there. Is there a line between just being an avid party goer and drinking every weekend and having a chronic issue?
You don't have
What's
to
the
drink
line?
to have fun.
I'm not saying no, but I'm saying that it add to the experience. So is there a line between that, being an avid party goer and drinker, and having an issue?
There is a very thin line, very thin, in that, you know, one, you have to be aware of your situation, and two, you have to be aware of your friends, or you have to be your brother's keeper.
Right.
Let's say I'm going through an issue, and maybe the girl just broke with me.
Right.
You go to your friend, and how your friend will help you solve your problem.
Make we pop this battle.
So they know this is how we develop problem-solving mechanism. And so now every time I associate this feeling of being hurt, this feeling of being lost, with my way of solving my issue. which is drinking. So this is where the body and the mind goes again and triggers you. So that's why it's a very thin line. Like, let's say if you want to go party today, put your mind into context and say, you know what, I'm feeling good. I'm going for my reason just to have fun. Because remember, alcohol is a depressant. So when you're not feeling too good and everything, it will calm you down. So you need, every time your homeostasis is altered within your system, you will look for something to calm it down. And your body will remember that alcohol is the best tool to calm it down.
Wow. So let's reel it back into Wellness Week. And what are your initiatives for, well, through Thirsty Thursday?
Okay. Well, Thirsty Thursday is about drinking water.
Tell you.
Right?
About drinking water.
Yes, right.
I mind your business.
Yeah. We're about drinking water, and like we said, mind of business, but just, you know, being healthy, doing something, you know, healthy for the day. And not only that, it's Thoughtful Thursday, right, for Wellness Week. It's considered Thoughtful Thursday as well. So what we're going to be doing today is just to do a kind act. You know, bless someone with something. It doesn't have to be something big. It could be the smallest of something. And it could be a kind gesture. It could be, you know, let's just say you see someone out there and you know that they don't have money to eat or something to drink. You could always buy something for them to drink, like a bottle of water, or get something. If you're eating something and you want to get something for them to eat, you could bless them with that. So it's the smallest thing, just to be thoughtful. If you have your co-workers, try to encourage them. Although that Thursday, take it easy, right? You know, stuff like that. Just that positive mentality.
I know a few of them I have to talk to today.
Hola. But no, I really like this. Up on screen we have, you know, the benefits of drinking water. I don't know if people don't like to drink water. It's just the lack of not being able to remember to drink water. Like last night I was sitting and I said, did I do that today? And I could recall, probably I didn't. Right, drink enough water. So what are the benefits of drinking water? How much? Can I say 8 glasses, but depending on your body mass, right? Okay, so how much water am I supposed to drink a day?
Well, I usually drink about eight cups.
Cups?
Right? It's always good to drink at least, I would say, like 8 cups, because what it helps your blood to flow, right? Your oxygen to flow to your blood. It also helps with digestion, right? It helps you to like have positive thoughts as well, because you know when you're dehydrated, especially the heat these days, I know it's been raining, you know, yesterday, but the heat these days, it helps you to focus. When you're dehydrated, it's hard for you to really, you know, do your job, or to, you even get irritated sometimes because you're dehydrated, right? So it has a lot of different benefits, but you know, you can't over drink it. But I would say like let's just say every 2 hours, you make sure like you would drink at least 1 cup.
So gentlemen, tell us as we wrap up where it is that we can go to access these services that we talked about today. Where can we go?
So the NDAC we are located in every district. We have an office in every district. And a part of that, the treatment unit, the outreach caseworker, we are in every district as well. So it's not very difficult to find, but it's just that people don't look for it because of the shame and everything that is associated with substance use. But we encourage people to just, you know, seek help. It's very important, even if it's just, okay, I need a checkup and see, you know, where I'm at. You know, if I need a listening ear, somebody who could help me learn better coping mechanism or how to deal with my situation, you know, the outreach unit, we are here.
So there's walk-in sessions, like if there's a group sessions that takes place where you can just walk in and be a part?
So we at the treatment unit is we screen and we assess the situation. Okay, so it's very it's individualized.
Perfect.
And then from there we refer if we find that the person needs more help, and what we offer, because we offer motivational interview to put things into concept through basic talk therapy. And then from that, if we find out that the person needs help, because treatment centers are very it's not much. We only have like 3 within the country.
Yeah.
So to fill in that gap, we offer the brief intervention, which is a 6-week session, and we offer that to the individual. Like, okay, you know what? We'll give you the 6-week session, and then you come for these sessions, and we help put more motivation into you to say that either want to stop or seek a treatment facility.
And that's free?
It's free.
Free of cost.
Free of cost.
It's free. Get help. It's free. No, I appreciate it because we don't talk about mental health enough. As much as we think we do, we really don't. But gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. Good
Thanks
luck
for
on
having us.
Thursday. Drink water, mind your business. We will take another short break and we'll be back for a wrap up. So stay tuned.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Excuse me, sir? Yeah. But how can you pay your phone? B-Box. What? What is B-Box?
B-Box are Benny's newest rewards program.
Really? Where I could get it from?
Man, check on the website bbox.bz or you could download it from the App Store. And if you still don't know, check that young lady there and she'll hook you up.
I will surely do so. Good afternoon, miss. Can you hook me up with B-Box?
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank contactless MasterCard debit card. Introducing our standard debit and MasterCard Platinum debit cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we are back just like that. Thirsty Thursday has come to a close. Well, Thirsty Thursday, morning show.
Yeah. It was a great show, April.
It was a great show, lovely conversations. We started off with talking about World Heart Day. Dr. Jeff from KHMH came in. He discussed with us why you should be more aware of your heart, and the fact is, your heart is what keeps you alive. So today we celebrate World Heart Day. Please ensure that you do your checkups. Ensure that if you have a story or someone you know that is suffering from a chronic heart disease of some sort, that you spread awareness of why you should get yourself checked out.
And then, of course, in our second conversation, we had an interesting discussion with Mr. Fairweather as well as Mr. Sanju.
Yes.
One from Trinidad and, of course, Mr. Fairweather from Belize about custom.
Caribbean Association of Custom Brokers.
Right, and so they talked about custom brokerage and what that entails and why is it that their job is important and how their job trickles, what they do trickles down to what we pay at on the shelves at the stores. And so they're having their conference. It's a bit pricey to enter, be a part of it, but I would imagine that if you're willing to pay that price, then you're definitely interested and invested in what is being said. And you know, some people would wish that the price would be a bit cheaper only because it's something that benefits the conversation, that benefits all of us.
I feel that we don't take information seriously. And I think that, not to say that the price, that you shouldn't pay 500 US to go to a conference, but I also feel that if you are paying $500 for anything, right, you are going to take away everything that you paid for, the information, the knowledge, the understanding of how these things and these trade routes work, and maybe to even hear the solutions and how you could be a part of the solution to maybe decrease the amount of money you pay for products on the shelf. But they're having their conference and their gala this weekend, Friday and into Saturday. And it will be from stakeholders and brokers across the Caribbean to discuss how we can better ourselves for the consumers, for you. So that was an interesting conversation. I really liked it.
Finally, in our final conversation, April, Thursday. Drink water.
It was, and mind your business, it was really not what I expected in terms of conversation this morning. You know, we had nutrition yesterday, and today we're talking about not just water, but how you can help yourself with the depressants like alcohol and so forth. There's a free rehabilitation unit that you can go and see if you feel that you are struggling with substance intake like alcohol.
For many of us, it's hard to wrap our minds around labeling alcohol as a depressant, because then you start to make it sound like it's a drug.
But it is.
Right, but no, you don't
want to associate it the way you associate it with cocaine or something like that. But the thing is,
when you do that, then you understand the true effects of it, or the abuse of it, and that's when you are able to take stock of your action, your behaviors, and your way of life, because then you understand, well, if this is that, and if I abuse it, then this is where it could potentially lead me tonight and throughout my life. And so what I will do is be moderate, as our guest rightfully said, there's a thin line.
I really appreciated Mr. Longsworth's comment on these are the symptoms that you will feel when you know or you're able to understand that it's a problem or a disease that you have, because not just because you drink means that you have a disease.
Right.
But he was talking about, you know, your physical body needing it, the sweat, the agitation, the anxiety that you get because you feel that you need that substance. I like that he explained it in that way, because you can drink in moderation, but it's when you get to that point that you know maybe you should talk to somebody. So it was definitely not where I expected it to go, but something extremely important because it ties into wellness and keeping yourself healthy. These are the things that you can do for yourself. But we want to thank all of our guests this morning, and of course, thank you for tuning in. You wake up every day you open your eyes and you start your morning right. We don't have a birthday shout out, but if you have a birthday today, happy birthday to you. We wish you all the very best. But if you want to send us a birthday shout out or just a comment or a question, you can always drop us a line right here at oie@channel5belize.com. And you can catch our live stream on Facebook every morning on Open Your Eyes BC and our highlights on Instagram at OYE Belize. Thank you, Belize, for joining us this morning. We'll see you tomorrow when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
Have a safe day. Drink water.
Am I your business for sure?
Goodbye, Belize.
Take care.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.